Welcome back to Fusion 360 for Woodworkers. We're continuing the build out of our bookcase. Today I want to look at modelling the drawer front and some sort of small pull handle like this. That sounds good. Stick around. Two things I really want to achieve today. I want to put the drawer fronts on. If you remember, so far we've just created a drawer box with dovetails and a base, all sizes nicely, but there's no front on those. So I want to very quickly drop some drawer fronts on. And then more complicated today is how do you model something like that to give you a nice drawer pull on your drawers. We'll look at that as well. Let's crack straight on and get into it. So I just want to drop in a drawer front now. That's something we've done before, all the techniques we've certainly done before, so let's see how much you remember. I'm going to come into Sketch, I'm going to click on the grey area, I'm going to select a random rectangle, just draw any size, like that, and now I want to constrain that to the edge. Now don't forget we put a very small gap around the edge of this drawer, and it's the actual panel on the carcass I want to snap into, not the grey drawer front. Escapes go out of the sketch, out of the rectangle command, and now come into the constraint. Collinear constraint as always. Take the top edge and take it down to the edge of the carcass. Careful you don't pick up the drawer by mistake. The edge of the carcass there. Left side to the left hand edge of the carcass there. Right hand side to the right hand side of the carcass there. The base to the base of the carcass. There. Finish the sketch. We now extrude that to make it the right thickness. So into the extrude tool, click on the front, and drag it out, and we want it to come out by stock thickness. We want to make sure we make a new component there, and let's call this component small drawer face. I think would be good. Let's just check we've not used that name. No, we call it front, so we'll call it small drawer face. Cool. And now we just need to make it the right size. So we need to offset the edges, modify tool, offset faces, and we want this top face, this right hand face, this bottom face, and this left face. And we're going to extrude that out by stock thickness divided by 2 minus 1 millimeter. That's the same command we used on the cupboard door, and you can see that now lines up, but it gives me that nice 2 millimeter gap between the drawer front or the drawer face and the cupboard door, which is what we want. Okay, what I now want to do is just to give this a bit of a nice profile edge. For that we will use the fillet command. We come into the fillet command, we select on this front face of the component, and you can see it gives me an arrow that I can just drag in, and it starts putting that nice round over, that fillet on the edge. And we want to make this one, I think, joinery, a third of our stock. That gives me a nice profile. Okay, so there you go, we now have a small drawer front. Now that's obviously not glued onto anything, I can just waggle that round, so we need to glue this to the front of that drawer, so just revert to that position, put it back where it was. Pick up the move tool, move or copy, click on the drawer and just slide that out of the way so we can get some glue behind it. Okay. We're going to use a joint assembly to glue things together exactly as we did in the drawers to begin with. So assemble, joint. Now I want to come to the back of this drawer and I want to pick up that back face and the center point of that back face there, and I want to glue it to the center point of this drawer sub-assembly. Bang, that will move it into place. I love that. Okay, so that drawer front is now attached to my drawer, so when I drag my drawer front, that drawer slides in and out. Select, position, revert. Okay, so with that done, we can now just copy that over to this side, right click on the small drawer face, copy, right click into white space and just put paste new, and that will paste a new drawer face over the old one. I can just move that over here now so it's out of the way. Okay, and now I can glue that into place as well. Assemble, joint. It'll tell me I've moved it because I've just moved that panel, so I'll capture that position for now. And I want to glue the middle of the back of that panel there to the middle of that drawer there. Into place, shake around, jobs are good. So we've now got our two small drawer fronts in place. Now it all seems like a lot of work when you're watching somebody else explain it, but this is quite a quick process. So I'm just going to go through this in the way I normally would, and you can see what I mean. Sketch, click on the drawer front, rectangle, random rectangle, zoom in, collinear constraint, top line, top edge, right line, right edge, left line, left edge, bottom, bottom, finish the sketch, extrude, bring that forward, stop, thickness, make it a new component. Okay, that's now made a new component on there. Now I just want to put the offset in, modify, offset, that one, that one, that one, that one. I'm going to offset by stock thickness -1. Okay, and that's now put in place my drawer front, fillet, front edge, drag it in, joinery, done. Okay, so I've now got my large drawer front, and that took about what, 30 or 40 seconds. Give this a name, let's call this large drawer front. Right click, copy, right click, paste new, paste that out of the way, down to there. Okay, right click, paste new, paste that one to there, drag it out of the way. Okay, take the original one, move that out of the way. Okay, come into the assemble command, joint, capture the positions, click that one to there. Okay, right click, repeat join, that one, come back to there. Okay, right click, repeat join, that one to there. Okay, take it home, bang. So I've now got all of my drawer fronts done. I'm just going to create a new component here. I'm going to call this one drawer faces, because I probably want to work on those separately than the drawer. Okay, and then I want to take all those drawer faces happy days, that's done. Now with that done, we just may as well create the appearance, so I can right click on drawer faces, go to the physical material, and I can just drag onto that component our pine. Close that down. So we've got our pine drawer fronts done now, as easy and as quick as that. Now the thing I really want to get to today is introduce you to a new command, and that new command is create revolve. Revolve sketch profile or planar face around a selected axis. So select a profile or planar face and select the axis to revolve around. And you can see in the example there on the diagram, the blue area shows a profile that they drew and then extruded around to make that 3D shape. And that's exactly the technique we're going to use. Now this is super useful, and if you want to create spheres or any 3D object that's sort of kind of round, you can do that. And if you think about this profile, though I'm not going to model that perfectly, you can see the idea. And if you were to sketch that profile out, you could then revolve that and that will give you that 3D shape. So let's look at a very simplistic version of this. We're going to start by creating a sketch. Now I want to create the sketch on this edge plane here, so we're just going to do that. I don't really care about these drawers or anything. I'm just going to sketch anything over here in free space. And I only want to sketch half of the diagram. So I'm going to sketch first of all some sort of back profile like that. So I want to create a little bit of a curve on this front edge, so we're going to use the fit point spline tool. We've used that before. Here's a tip: if you just hover on any of these sort of lines on the rectangle you've drawn, don't click, just hover over it so it snaps in. You'll see you get that blue dotted line that will just make sure you stay parallel to that surface. And about there's good, so click once, hover over the top, and then come out to about there, and then just bring your arrow down, your cursor down, and click on that tick, and that gives you a straight line. Escape to come out of the tool. Now you can just simply grab these green handles, and I can now make some sort of nice pattern on this. I think probably something like that. Now remember, you're drawing half a model here, so this edge parallel to this edge will look best. Otherwise, if you do something like that, you get a dimple in the middle, which you may want, but I want that to be parallel. So I'm going to constrain that blue line with this. So into my constrain commands, parallel that blue stick with that, so that will lock that in to be parallel. Escape my constraint, and now I can just wander around with this edge to give me something I like. And that might look pretty good, so escape, and now another fit point spline from that point to that point. Click on the tick, and now again I can use those little green balls, and I can just create something like that. Not too bad. Flatten that line out a little bit. Oh, I like that. So there you go, I've now got the basic shape of my handle. Just going to come in with a line from that point there to that point there, and that just completes my sketch. Let's get some measurements on this. So let's look at this little line here. Let's make that line 3 millimeters. Let's look at that point to that point there, that middle of that curve to that point, and let's make that 15 millimeters. And then let's make that point there to that point there. Let's make that 8 millimeters. Do I still like that? Let me see, escape. Probably going to make that a little bit more curved. That's good. And that one a bit more curved as well. Okay, that's good. And then I'm just going to finally come in with a small raised portion here at the front. I like that. I just want to curve this off a little bit, so we'll come in with the fillet tool onto that point. Turn that, that gives me quite a nice little profile there. And I now want to just soften off this curve here, so once again I'll come in with the spline tool and just curve off that edge ever so slightly to that. Okay, so I've got something that's reasonably okay, I think. Finish that sketch. So you now see I've got some sort of weird and wonderful shape. It's probably good enough for what we want to use it for. So come in with the create tool, and I'll come down to revolve. Here's your menu. So should be quite simple. What profile do you want? Well, I want that, and that random sketch that we've just made. The axis, well, I want to rotate around this endpoint here, around the center. Fine. And then direction one-sided, 360 degrees all the way around, and I want to make that a new component. Okay. And that now gives me, not the world's prettiest, but it gives me a drawer pull. Super, super, super simple. Let's give it a name. Let's call that drawer pull. And obviously you could take your time and make it pretty. Let's give it a material. Let's make that, actually, why don't we make that a shiny steel colour? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Let's make it a shiny steel colour. And close that down. That might just be quite interesting. And now I want to glue it to my surface. Joint, the midpoint at the back, and we'll glue that one to the midpoint of the front. Okay, so now I have quite a nice shiny surface. I'm just going to turn off these little joint lines that annoy me as always. So let's come up here and just turn off those. Don't delete them because your glue will break, but there you go. So cool, I don't dislike that, that's okay. So now we just need to copy one onto each drawer. Right click, copy. This time I'm just going to paste it, I don't want a new one. Let's just drag that out of the way. Okay. Now let's just paste, repeat paste, and just drag that one out of the way, somewhere over there. Okay. Repeat paste. Have one for that drawer there. Okay. And repeat paste. And we'll have this one over here. Okay. Now I can glue these into place. Joint command. Pick up the back of that one. We'll put that there. Okay. Repeat joint. Back of that one. And we'll put that one on there. Repeat joint. Pick up the center of that one to the center of that panel there. Okay, and then finally repeat joint, and we'll pick up the center of that one and we'll drop that into there. Okay. Looking quite good, I think, isn't it? Let's just hide those joints that we just made. Now you might be looking at this and saying, hold on a minute, I can see these lines on this where it's joined together. Remember in the last episode I turned on visible lines so I could see the edge of my unit. It was a command down here on the display settings. It's under visual style and we selected shaded with visible edges only. If we go back to shaded, you can see it sort of blurs together, but it takes away those visible edges and you can see how that command works for you. So that's okay. So I like visible edges on because it makes it easier for me to work on the cabinet in 3D space. So now I want to put the same handle here. I'll come in and if I just paste, because that should still be in our paste memory, so paste again so we get another instance of this, and just drag it out of the way. Okay, now when I come in to use my joint tool, I want to show you something. I can pick up the back there, but when I come to this area, look, there's nothing to actually snap into. It wants to snap into one of these points, so there's nothing to snap into. So given the fact I want it sort of here where my arrow is and not where it's snapped into, we need to create some sort of glue point. So cancel out of that command. Now the easiest way of doing it is to actually just define a simple circle. So we come into sketch, and click on that face there, and now I'm going to create a simple circle, and that circle is just going to be randomly drawn about there. Don't make it too big, so we'll just make it 10 millimeters in diameter. Now what I want to do is to position it from this edge. So we'll come in for the tool and I want you to come from that edge to there, and I want you to be style rail width divided by 2. Okay, and then I'm going to constrain it from the bottom edge as well to there, and that's also going to be style rails width divided by 2, and that puts that in the right place for me. So I can now zoom over here, and I can put one on this door too. Small circle, anywhere you like, 10mm diameter or whatever it was, that's not important. From the centre to the edge is going to be style rails width divided by 2, and from the bottom, style rail width, oh crikey, what's wrong with that, divided by 2. Okay, so that's now put that there in the centre of that place. Finish the sketch. So now I've got somewhere to snap my joint to. So now I can come into my joint command. I can now select the centre glue point of that, and now I can select the centre glue point there. Bang. Okay, so that's now put that into place. I can paste another one. Bring that one over here so it's out of the way. Okay, now come back into the joint command. Pick up the glue point on the back there. Pick up the glue point in the centre of that circle there. Okay. So there you have it. We now have, I'm just going to turn off those joint commands. I don't want to see the signs. I know I've joined it. Seems to have a sketch going on here as well. Just going to turn off the sketches, wherever they are. Sketches. Yeah, that top sketch and that bottom sketch, just turn those off. So I don't actually like those knobs very much, they're too big. So I'm going to come back into this sketch here that we did. I'm going to edit that sketch, and that just brings me back into this area. Remember that sketch that we did. Okay, and I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to further constrain this line here. That's currently 25, I'm going to make that about 50. And I think I can just drag this down as well a little bit to make that a bit nicer. That looks pretty good. Drag this blue line down so it doesn't look so stupid. I want to bring this in a bit as well, I think. I don't like that so much. Then I just want to fill this gap in, so I'll put a small curve out from there to there. Good. That's better. So that's now just resketched those and made them a slightly nicer, smaller design. So I'm happy with that. And that's once again the power of that timeline. You can design something, you don't like it, you can just change the sketch and it auto updates. So there you go, that's it. We've finished the design stage of our bookcase. Many of you will be pleased to know. There's two big chunks of things we need to do though. The next episode I want to look at rendering and show you how I turn this 3D sketch into a photorealistic 3D picture that you can share with your customers. And I'll show you how that auto updates when you play around with parameters, really neat stuff. And then the final thing in the final episode is how do you turn the entire thing into workshop drawings and cut lists. Hope you find this useful still, and I'll see you next time.